Boston Celtics finally get some shots to fall from everybody. Kristaps Porzingis shines in the third quarter. I think they should protect him at all costs. Plenty to talk about right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you every day with a free, fresh podcast drop directly to your device. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast, watch the show on YouTube, hop into the comment section, let me know what you're thinking about the Celtics bouncing back against the Sacramento Kings. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal and for you, because all of my coverage is for you to enhance your Celtics viewing and listening and all of that stuff. Today we're talking about the Boston Celtics beating the Sacramento Kings 144-119. I'll get into third quarters and Kristaps Porzingis. Protect Kristaps Porzingis at all costs. Wrap him in bubble wrap. We'll talk about that later on. But let's just dive into this. It's such a nice bounce back for the Celtics after that loss to the Golden State Warriors. That was a tough one. Everyone was losing their minds. People really just kind of, we assign value to we assign value to that game where it's the Warriors. We are the ones that said that's a big game. And the Celtics didn't perform in that game, which we determined was a big game. And, it was a TNT game. It's a marquee team. But we assigned the value to that, and the Celtics didn't live up to that. And then we're the ones that go nuts because they didn't live up to what we created. And so I think the Celtics were very upset. Scal talked on the broadcast about quiet bus for the hour and a half drive from San Francisco to Sacramento. That's, it's a little bit unusual and kind of shows the guys were taking that loss hard and they wanted to bounce back. The worst thing you can do in the NBA is let a game like that linger. You can't have the bad finish, the bad taste in your mouth leak into this next game. Because if you let that happen, how are you going to win a playoff series? Right? You drop game one at home, you got to win game two. You got to go win game three so you can get that home court advantage back. You can't just dwell on, I made this mistake, we made this mistake, this loss, people are saying this, John's podcasting about that, and I don't want to hear it. Any of that stuff, that's all got to go away. And the Celtics did a good job of putting a lot of stuff behind them. It wasn't like that at the beginning. Honestly, at the beginning of this game, I thought I was going to be writing about a complete stinker. I thought I was going to be, within the first couple minutes, I thought my post-game story and the crux of this podcast was going to be the Celtics finally got their doors blown off, because it looked like that. It was 23-11, 12-point game. De'Aaron Fox had a steal, his third steal of the day already early in that game. He was on his way, picked Drew Holiday clean. Going up the left side, looked like he had a lane to the rim. Porzingis blocks him. And now that ball is going the other way. And Joe Mazzulla talked about how, he talks about all the time. Missed layups, block shots, things like that turn into opportunities on the other end. Celtics go down, get a dunk. So instead of 25-11 in a 14-point game and the Celtics still being discombobulated, Celtics come down and get an easy one. It goes from 23-11 to 23-13. Now it's down under 19. I mean, it's down under 10, I should say. I don't know where 19 came from in my head. But the Celtics managed to kind of hold off the early run, and then they whip off a 13-0 run. So the poise, the composure, keep playing through it. Don't worry. It's only the first few minutes of this game. Don't get caught up in it. They're hyped. Everybody's hyped to play the Celtics. The Celtics do a very good job of keeping it together, and they put this run together. And then from there, it was just the Celtics playing well, hitting shots. Just the shots were falling like all over the place. Everybody was hitting. They shot 52.5% from three, 55.5% from the field. A day after Golden State where they couldn't hit a damn thing. This was really important to see them go out there and hit some shots. Again, don't let it linger. Don't let it dip into the next game, because if you let that kind of drag you down, that's how you get losing streaks. The Celtics have only lost twice in a row once. So a really good bounce back. Makes you feel good. Makes you feel good about this team. No Jayson Tatum, no Al Horford, no Luke Cornett. So depth an issue. Your best player is out, although he's been kind of struggling a little bit lately. Maybe a day off is kind of worth it. Maybe a day off or maybe 2 days off. Give him till Christmas. Maybe that's just some nice recuperating time on top of the injury recovery time. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the bounce back. It would be very easy. It would have been very easy in the early going for the Celtics to get really, really discouraged. And they didn't. That mentality is really important. Yeah, they shot the lights out. Derrick White, 77% shooting, 66.7% from three, 6 of 9. So Porzingis was 3 of 4 from three. Pritchard was 6 of 11 from three. They got 28 apiece from Derrick White and Jaylen Brown, 24 from Porzingis, 21 from Jrue Holiday, 20 from Pritchard. So that's a nice, well-balanced explosion for everybody. That's how you get 144 points. Jaylen Brown was awesome again. I didn't even realize that he didn't make a three. That's fine. 28 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. That's really, really good. That's exactly what you want from Jaylen Brown in that situation. Stepping up, moving the ball. Played great. And then caught three bodies, 3 posters. Like if posters were a thing, he'd have 3 new posters. So Jaylen Brown, what more can you say about him? He's playing absolutely great. That continued. Derrick White, after the game, Joe Mazzulla said he's an all-star. That was good. Jrue Holiday, this is going to be like an under the radar. None of the conversation is going to be about Holiday, but 21 points. I shouldn't say none, but I think a disproportionate amount of the conversation will be about Jaylen with the big highlights, Porzingis with the big third quarter, Derrick White after the game, Joe calling him an all-star, and Holiday just sits there with 21 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, a couple of steals, a block. He was just everywhere. So, and then good contributions off the bench. Nemajish Queta. Shvi Mikhailiuk didn't score much, but he had a great save. He hustled. I thought he played pretty well. O'Shea Brissett came in and give them some decent minutes, some good hustle minutes. So good distribution, hot shooting, good balance. That's all part of it. I'm going to come back. We'll talk a little bit about Porzingis in a bit. We'll talk about the third quarters and more. We'll talk about Joe Mazzulla, how this is a game that Joe Mazzulla is going to frame. That's all coming up next. Today's show brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has teamed up with Josh Lloyd to talk to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. So whatever you're prepping for fantasy-wise, we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked for this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Weeks. the list we've talked about it the past couple of days. I haven't seen the update on Brandon Pajemski, but whenever he's back, he'll be, a guy that can get some points. Tari Eason, Grayson Allen, James Wiseman, and Malachi Branham. I've latched on to Grayson Allen as a guy who's going to get minutes with Bradley Beal out. They got to get scoring from somewhere. They got to get production from somewhere. So he'll get a nice increase in usage for the next few weeks. So that seems to be, I think, the strongest pick there, fantasy-wise. And then, on top of it, keep an eye on the Knicks because Mitchell Robinson's going to be out for the rest of the season. So they're going to have to figure out some big man stuff over there. Josh Lloyd from the Lockdown Fantasy Basketball Podcast is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts. I didn't even realize they had 122 million anything for a car. But they got them for your number one ride or die. So make sure your ride stays running smoothly with brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs. eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you are burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive with ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. When you're done with this show, go to Locked On Sports Today. It's the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Put it on, leave it in the background. You never know what kind of great stories you're going to hear people talking about from the Locked On Podcast Network. I think Joe Mazzulla is going to frame this game. This game has proven Joe Mazzulla right in so many different ways. How many timeouts did Mike Brown call to try to stop the Celtics runs? How about all of them? He called all of them. 7 timeouts. They're all gone. Early in the fourth quarter. Did any of them work? No. Were they defective? Did the timeouts not work in Sacramento? No, because timeouts aren't proven to stop anything. They don't stop runs. They're not guaranteed to stop runs. They're not proven to stop runs. And if Joe Mazzulla is looking for any evidence for his coaching style, this game is it. Mike Brown called timeout after timeout after timeout after timeout, and none of it worked. He subbed guys in, it didn't work. He changed personnel. He changed the coverages. None of it worked. He yelled at them. None of it worked. None of the timeouts worked. The Celtics were just on a mission. Plus, we saw them attacking the rim, get blocked. Lots of block shots for the Celtics. And those went the other way. And the Celtics turned those into points over and over and over and over again. That's a big talking point for Mazzulla. That if you're not going to finish at the rim, if you're going to challenge somebody, you better finish. Because the Celtics were able to get 30 fast break points. 30 fast break points to Sacramento 6. Sacramento only turned the ball over 7 times. They got 14 points off of those 7 turnovers. So the Celtics really cashed in. But 30 fast break points, those are all off of misses. Block shot counts as a miss. So the Celtics turn those all into transition opportunities. You win transition by 24. Second chance points. Celtics lose it by 2. Points in the paint. Celtics win it by 8. The margins. The Celtics get one more shot, one more field goal attempt. They make one more three-pointer. They get +8 at the free throw line. They get 2 more offensive rebounds. They give themselves opportunities, 35 assists. They give themselves these opportunities to pile up the shot attempts, to pile up the wins. To pile up the makes, and those lead to wins. This is exactly what Joe's talking about, these types of games. And the mentality to put the past behind you, as I said in the earlier segment, that's important. Keeping your poise when things don't look like they're going well. when it looks like the entire thing is falling apart the instant you walk into the arena. Celtics held it together. This is all super important stuff. But the evidence for Joe Mazzulla for everything that he has said as a coach, it's all right there in this game. And one of my other takeaways here is just, I'm not gatekeeping your fandom. I understand you're going to be pissed. You're just going to be irrationally upset over a loss to the Warriors. Like I said, we put the value on that. They didn't live up to it. Now we're pissed off. I get it. But also, again, I'm not trying to tell you how to be a fan. You can flap the handle if you want. But for your own sanity, just consider the possibility that these guys are good and they're not going to win 80 games. Or at this point, they're 21-6. So what's left? 76 games. So they're not going to go 76-6. You want them to win every game, but obviously they're not going to. So I think the mentality there, these guys are good. These guys are good. So I love the fact that the Celtics protected the ball. They had so many turnovers in the first quarter, 6. The Celtics ended up turning the ball over 9 times for 10 points. Almost all of those came in the first quarter. The Celtics had 6 turnovers in the first quarter for 7 points. So they only had 3 turnovers for 3 points the rest of the way. That's winning basketball. Kristaps Porzingis, I think this game changed in that first quarter with that when it was 23-11 and Porzingis blocks the shot and they go on that 13-0 run. I think that's where the game changed. That's where the momentum changed. That's a clutch play. Those clutch plays in the first quarter, because after that, the Kings got frustrated. I think they got frustrated by the officiating. They didn't get the calls. They didn't like the calls that were called against them, and that frustrated them. I think they might have had some good points there on some of those, and some of them they didn't. That's kind of how it goes, generally speaking. Whenever an NBA player complains, sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong. The Celtics flipped a 41-38 quarter, which was just an amazing quarter to watch. That first half in general, the first quarter specifically, tons and tons of three-pointers. A Derrick White, De'Aaron Fox duel in the first quarter was awesome. The fact that the Celtics had somebody like Derrick White to go out there and actually cancel out De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox had 17 points on 5 of 8 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3. Derrick White had 16 points, 5 of 6 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3. That's massive. That is a massive thing to have happen, because De'Aaron Fox is awesome. And he goes off to set the tone, and Derrick White's right there being like, no, we're not going to let you get away from us. That was really good. And then Pritchard comes in 9 points off the bench. That first quarter was, the game turned in the first quarter. The second quarter was, Boston built the lead. Then the third quarter, they extended it. They got separation because Kristaps Porzingis. It was another good third quarter, and Kristaps Porzingis was there, and I think he should be protected at all costs. This is very important. You cannot let him get hurt, or you cannot let him miss extended time if it's at all avoidable. I'm going to talk about that in just a second here. Today's show brought to you by BetterHelp. I've tried therapy. I've done therapy. It's been beneficial to me. I think therapy is very, very important. We go to, like, if your arm hurts or your leg hurts or your stomach hurts, you go to a doctor. When your brain is not working the way you want it to, I don't understand why people don't go to therapy. And the thing about BetterHelp is, it's not just, typically you're trying to find somebody that's in your area, that's a reasonable drive, that can take your insurance and so on and so forth. And it's like hard. It's hard to find. BetterHelp makes it easy. You go, you fill out a questionnaire. They match you with a therapist. If you don't like that therapist, not a problem. Switch. It's super important to get the right person. The ability to switch is going to be the difference between you sticking with therapy and not. It could be for anything. It's the holidays. We're all going to be a little worked up and stressed during the holidays. Family, it's not always like I love my family, but every once in a while, it's stressful. That's how families are. So look, give yourself a little bit of a gift. Try BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. If you go right now, sign up at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA, you're going to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. It's the season of giving, so give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I'll be back next week. Finally, a little bit of an absence there because of the Celtics schedule. But I'll be back. Check out Locked On NBA, wherever you get your podcasts. It's a great podcast. Rotating hosts all week long. Find it where you found this podcast. All right. Kristaps Porzingis, third quarter, amazing, right? Steps up in that third quarter. I think it was a personal 7-0 run. Steps up. I love that early play. Running a pick and roll with Derrick White. Pitch back. Herter goes under. Porzingis is like, oh, I didn't actually get to hit him with anything, so Derrick doesn't get sprung free. Let me turn around and set a pick here. He sets the pick, rolls, understands like, oh, I've got Herter on me now, and they're kind of showing down to help there. So let me just turn around and post up Herter at the free throw line. Gets it, spins, fires it in, lands on Sabonis's foot, sprains the ankle. I didn't like that. That one was definitely something I could do without. But makes the shot, makes the free throw, and makes another shot on Herter, and the Celtics go on a run there to start the game, to start the third quarter. Side note, I don't know how serious the ankle injury is for Porzingis, but I think actually the way he landed, because he was kind of going to his side, I think that minimized the pressure on the sprain. If there's anything I know about, it's sprained ankles, because I've sprained my left ankle so many times. Like at this point, I can turn it. It'll hurt for 30 seconds and then just goes back to normal. It's such a mess. But what Tatum did was he was standing straight up, and like the pressure of his body went straight down on that. And that could add some severity to the sprain, where Porzingis was kind of falling, and the fact that he fell was helpful, right? It takes a lot of pressure off of that ankle. So it might not be as bad. So I'm kind of encouraged by that, but who knows? If it's sore at all, my take on it is, if it's sore at all, sit him. He's too important. It's obvious at this point. Wrap him in bubble wrap if he's hurt at all. He's too important. This is like we've seen the Celtics without Derrick White, and I didn't like it. We've seen the Celtics without Jaylen Brown, without Jayson Tatum. They can make up for that, in small stretches, right? Not forever, but in small stretches, they can make up for losing one of their big guns, because they got some really good players. Even Derrick White, even though I didn't like it, they've got enough perimeter players where you can kind of make up for some of the things that he does. There's nobody on this roster that can do what Porzingis does. Al Horford's great, but he doesn't play like Porzingis. Luke Cornett is fine, but he's nowhere near Porzingis. At 7'4", with the quickness that he has, the ability to shoot, the ability to roll, the ability to pass out of the short roll, all of that stuff makes Porzingis the absolute, like, he's a walking adjustment. It's almost like James Harden, where he says, don't tell me to fit into a system. I am the system. It's almost like, don't tell me that we're making adjustments. I am the adjustment. That's kind of what Porzingis. I wish he would say that, but he didn't. But I'm saying it. Porzingis is the adjustment. He's the guy that you go to. He's the adjustment from last season. Get him the ball in the post, whether it's on the block, at the free throw line, wherever it is. He can spin his way out of that, get the shot up. He's tall enough. He's good enough. He's got nice enough touch, which means that he's so important. Like if they had Porzingis at the end of the Warriors game, I believe everything the same except some of those shots go to Porzingis. I think that game changes because Porzingis takes some shots that are more makeable. So I think it's too important. The Celtics have to make Kristaps Porzingis' health the number one priority. Not that it's not a priority, but the number one priority. If there's ever any doubt, you got to protect Porzingis. You have to protect Porzingis. Because if he misses extended time, I don't like where the Celtics will go. I don't like the possibilities there. I think that he's an easy guy to just, here you go, dump the ball into him. He can create things. He can get a shot off. And as I said in the after the Warriors game, the fourth quarter is all about buckets. And what Porzingis does, he gets the Celtics the kind of buckets that they need. He gets the shots that lead to those buckets. So I think he's too important. Look at what he did in the third quarter. Celtics won the third quarter 39-24. That's the second straight road third quarter that they've won by a fair amount. Even after falling apart a little bit at the end of the third quarter in Golden State, they still won that by a fair enough margin. Third quarters on the road are actually not bad. So I think the Celtics are maybe turning a corner with that. Porzingis is a huge deal. It's a huge deal for Porzingis. You got to come out and have that execution to start the second halves, and you got to make sure that Porzingis is on the floor for it. The post-ups are getting like almost 1.4 points per possession. League average on points per possession is like on any shot. It's like 1.15, 1.2. Like anything over one's good. 1.1 something is league average. And Porzingis is up almost 1.4. So that's really good. The Celtics lineups with Porzingis, their starting lineup is one of the best in the league, like second only to Philly, that has this insane the insane numbers. They've been going crazy lately. So, but the Celtics are with Porzingis in the lineup right at the top of the league. So if you want to continue this, you just got to make sure whatever cautious decision they have to make, be more cautious than that. Whatever you are going to be even more cautious. That's how much I think the Celtics need to protect Kristaps Porzingis. Will he play against the Clippers? I don't know. But they've got a couple of days off before that afternoon game. Weird game, 3:30 for us in the East Coast, 12:30 for them on the West Coast. Ooh, we'll see how that goes. I will be here after that bonus podcast on Saturday because I'm podcasting after every game. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. You can watch the show on YouTube. Hop in the comment section there. Let me know what you think about the show, about what I'm saying. Agree or disagree. Let me know. Become an everydayer. Be with me every Monday through Friday, plus these bonus podcasts on the weekend. Share the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.